It is getting to spooky season again, so today I'm going to do just kind of a dimensional nail to give you guys some fun for the holidays. Let's get started with our design, and I'm going to be using some of our cream clays, and then I'm also going to be using our jewel foil kit. So let's get started with, just like we would always do for a full set, we're going to push back that cuticle, make sure you get that cleaned up really well, and then we're going to go into our sanding band to prep. We're going to keep our speed on our E-file at about 5,000 RPMs. Clean off that nail, get all that dust off of there. We're going to use our swipe to cleanse this nail and just dust off and scrub that nail nice and clean. All right, we're going to come in with 2 coats of our protein bond. So I'm going to use one of our red extra long forms. So the XL forms, I'm just going to still take that little tab out of the center. We're going to pinch our 2 front ends together. And then I'm going to open up that back area. We're going to get this up underneath that nail, making sure it's right up underneath. And I'm going to actually start with this at a slight downward angle because I am going to pinch my form a little bit more, so it's not quite that long, but as I pinch my form, it's going to lift up a little bit at the end. Okay, so again, a little bit of a longer nail, not too crazy long today. Just pinch together underneath, make sure our form is nice and secure. So we're going to start with our clear Sculptor, and I'm going to use this to build out my extension. Anytime I'm doing a dimensional nail where I want to be able to see through that extension, I'm going to use my clear Sculptor because that way, again, when we add in our dimension, we add in our glitters, our colors, all of that, we're going to be able to see right through this clear Sculptor. So I'm going to grab my mixing tile here, and this is what I use to keep my brush clean. So if there's any extra gel in my brush, I can just wipe that off onto my mixing tile. But I'm going to turn this nail on the side. I'm going to use the edge of my brush to just kind of drag that gel right up that edge, making sure it's nice and straight, and right up into the corners of my nail. Same thing on the other side. I'll again turn my nail on the side, drag the edge of the brush up so that we're creating a nice straight sidewall. Clean out my brush. If there's anything that I need to touch up or move any of my product around, I can go ahead and do that. And then once I have everything where it should be, let's get that back into the light. And we're gonna just freeze this in the light for 30 seconds. We're gonna grab our base gel, and we're gonna use the base on that whole natural nail. So base gel is going to be your best adhesion. So you always want to make sure that you're using the base. It's going to be more kind of like your foundation layer. So you're going to just brush a nice thin coat of the base gel on that natural nail. This is again going to give you the best adhesion for your other products to adhere to. So just kind of brushing that out over that natural nail, and then I like to pick up just a small pearl of that, and I'm just going to kind of drag that right along the connection of my natural nail to that extension. This way it ensures that when I take my form off, I'm not going to crack that extension off as well. I'm going to go back into the light. Another 30-second freeze. Okay, so once that base layer is cured out, we're going to pinch our form together and we are going to remove that form. By removing the form and just leaving that clear layer, this is what's going to allow our colored gels to completely cure all the way through. Colors that we're going to be using today are some of our cream clays, and we've got Uncorked and Mistakes Were Made, as well as Grown Up Tables. So 3 beautiful colors for the spooky season. So what I'm going to do with these colors is just kind of randomly place them onto our nail. At this point, I'm not going to be super concerned about getting anything perfect. I'm not going to worry about blending colors. I'm just kind of tapping that color onto the nail. Like I said, just kind of randomly, wherever I feel like I want a little bit of that color. In between colors, I just use my tile to clean out my brush a little bit so that I'm not cross-contaminating and putting one color into the other jar as I pick up. It's just a quick, easy way of going from one color to the next. I want to make sure if I do accidentally get any product on the skin, make sure to clean that off right away. And again, we'll just keep adding wherever we feel like we want that color. And darken that up with a little bit of that black. And just kind of keep blending until you like how the color is looking. If you feel like you need to add more color anywhere, go ahead and add color. You guys, I think I am gonna add in one more color for just a little bit of sparkle. I'm gonna grab about a spark, and this one it's just a little bit brighter. It's got a little bit of a shimmer to it. So I'm gonna add a little bit of that in. As I was working, I just kind of decided it needs to be just a little bit brighter. So you can kind of see this is just gonna give a little bit more of an accent in there. Still kind of the same color range as what I've been using, but it's just gonna brighten up a couple of spots. Because I feel like we had a lot of dark in there, and this is again just going to kind of lighten it up just a little bit. Now notice that I'm not quite getting all the way to the edges because I am working a little bit on the quicker side. Once I get my color on there and I feel like everything is where I need it to be, then I'll go through and I'll touch up my edges to just really make sure that I've got product all the way to those edges. So right here again, now I'll come back through, just kind of using the point of my brush, touching up around those edges, and making sure I've got product all the way to the sides. And again, you guys, it kind of looks like a big blobby mess, but don't worry, we're going to add more to it, and it's going to really, really make this design pop. And again, you guys, these colors I'm just kind of using as a background. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything specific. It can be very random. Let's get this into the light and freeze that into place another 30 seconds. All right, so that first layer is cured out. Now, it does have a tacky surface on it. So what we're gonna put into that tacky surface is some of the foils from our jewel foil kit. But I'm gonna open these up, and you can take bits and pieces out and you can set them onto your tile to use from there. Or sometimes I will just kind of use my brush that has just a little bit of gel on it. I'll kind of tap into that container and pick up some bits and pieces, and we'll just set that down onto our nail. So wherever you just want a little bit of accent color, kind of brighten that up, pick up little bits and pieces of the foil, or add lots of it onto the nail. And I'm just kind of setting this down into that tacky surface of those cream clays. And it's just going to sit right down in there. You don't have to really force it. It's just going to kind of set right in there. And then I just kind of use my brush to make sure that everything is a little bit more set down in there. All right, so you guys, as I'm working, do you notice that I kind of move the finger? I rotate it a little bit. What that does is it helps to show me where the light is reflecting, so I can see where those foils are going to reflect, and I can see kind of all of the different angles of that nail. So I may decide as I'm working here to add maybe just a little bit more of that foil. If I want a little bit more shine, if I want a little bit more reflection, I can add just a little bit more wherever I want. And again, just kind of tapping those down, making sure that everything is set down into that tacky surface. And then I do tend to kind of just take a quick peek from the side, again, making sure that there's nothing poking up. And I am going to set this back into the light. Now, it doesn't have really any gel that needs to be fully cured, but because we were kind of moving over that tacky surface, I am going to put this back in so that tacky surface is really just going to kind of grip on to those little bits of foil that we put on. Now, even just a quick 10-second freeze in there is really enough to hold those pieces of foil on there while I'm maybe doing the other hand or the other nail. And this way, again, it's just going to kind of hold on to those pieces of foil. So at this point, we can go ahead and cap our design. And to cap this, I'm going to be using our Build Pink. Now, you can use that clear sculptor that we started with, and that would work totally fine. But sometimes when I'm doing my colors and my dimensional work, I like to use the Build Pink. So I'm starting up by our cuticle area, squeezing my product out, and notice that I have that nail angled straight down to my table. This way it's going to help my product run and flow down the length of the nail rather than back down into the cuticle. Okay, so just as I work, I just kind of let that product flow and bringing that down the length of the nail. Now at this point, I'm not worried too much about the structure. Right now I just want to be able to encapsulate everything, make sure that there's a layer of gel over this whole entire nail. I'm going to cure this one into place. I'll cure this layer into place, and then we'll add on any extra if we need to build up any structure anywhere, if we need to create more of an arch anywhere, we can do that. But I just want to get kind of that base layer on here, and then we'll go ahead into the light. I'm just going to check right around my edges really quick, make sure I've got enough gel covering everything around the edges, making sure my sides aren't running down the edge. And I'm just going to kind of pull a little bit of that more product up into my arch. Okay, let's get this into the light. And again, we're going to go in there for a quick 30-second freeze. All right, so that first layer of our gel is cured out. And if we take a look at this, you can definitely see we've got a dip down right through here, especially when we're working on those longer nails. We have to make sure that we're really building up the structure and the arch of that nail. So we're going to come back through with a little bit more of our Build Pink right through that arch area. And I'm going to squeeze out a good amount right down the center, letting that kind of flow down and fill in. And then I'm going to use my brush and just kind of blend that out to the edges. It's going to leave more of the bulk right in the center where we need it, but just kind of, again, letting that flow down to those sides and filling in. Okay, now again, because this is a longer nail, we may still add a little bit more. And I can actually see already from the side we are going to need a little bit more. Now you guys, be careful when you are adding a lot of product, because this is a self-leveling product and it can flow and it can run a little bit. So this is kind of why I like to do this application in layers. So I'm going to get this back into the light and again freeze that for another 30 seconds. So now we can add more product on top of this if we need to, without it running and flowing and creating a mess. So again, just a quick 30-second freeze, and then we'll do one more coat. Okay, so again, set that into place. I'm going to check one more time. So now it's looking a little bit better, but I still have just a little bit of a low spot right there. So again, just going to bring a little bit more of my product right through where I need to fill in. Now it's definitely going to kind of flow down in there, right where we need it. Again, just kind of blending that out to my sides. Okay, I think we are good now. Just going to kind of blend that back just a little bit more towards my cuticle area. And then let's go ahead into our light, and this time we are going to put this in for a full 60 seconds, and then we're going to cure this all the way through. So we're going to let this cure for a full 60 seconds. I'm going to file it out. I'm going to straighten off that free edge and make this into more of a coffin shape rather than that pointed stiletto, and we'll show you guys the final look.